everyone, it's Annalisa from In the Hidden Kingdom. So, why does the divine feminine energy push the divine masculine away? And why do they have to run? Why does the divine masculine run? So, all twin flames end up in separation because the energies are overwhelming for the divine masculine. And the divine feminine can either be male or female because here we're talking about energy, as this is not your typical soulmate type of relationship because we're talking about one soul, right? And as the more spiritually awakened one, if you're listening to this video, you are the divine feminine energy. So why do you push the divine masculine energy away? And this happens because the energies for the divine masculine is overwhelming. And because that initial stage where you met your twin flame or your divine masculine was so beautiful and so alive, and that energy was overwhelming for your divine masculine, and they have no choice but to run. And that is important to understand for the divine feminine because what the divine feminine doesn't want to do, right? So as you're listening to this, you are the divine feminine. You haven't done anything wrong. And sometimes you tend to blame the divine masculine on what they're doing on their end. And this is important to realize that you didn't do anything wrong, and the energy is so strong that they have to pull away. So this is important that you now begin to start pulling that energy back to yourself, and what they're doing on their end is irrelevant. And I know that this is a hard place to be, to really accept why they're running, because if you're in the beginning stages of this journey, it's hard to really put all that together and not understanding why they are running. But it isn't that you did anything wrong to or push them away because you've done something. It's because, again, they don't want to really accept all the love that you're showing them, and they're afraid, and that is why they run. So you have to bring all that back to yourself and really start focusing on yourself. So they run because they're overwhelmed, and you may wonder as to, compare it to other relationships that you've had before where your other partners, it was beautiful. The more love that you showed to that person, the closer that your relationship became. So you're not really understanding why they're running, right? Because isn't that the way it's supposed to be, right? And you spend time together, things are going well, and you have this feeling of beautiful, beautiful feelings for the person, and then they just take off. So you're not used to this at all, and not understanding why they run, why they separate from you. And the journey is different for everyone. Now, let's talk about if your divine masculine is already in another relationship, or what if they're already married, right? And that also has its own challenges. But if you met your person and they're in another relationship, or they are already married, so the idea here is that they're going to separate, of course, but this is your awakening, right? So they have come to you because they are asking you to really look within and to really awaken you as to connecting to yourself. And although they are married or although they are in a relationship, as you begin to do the work in balancing the energy, those other relationships that your divine masculine is in will eventually start to break down, because they are soon going to realize that they are not going to be happy in those relationships either, because as you begin to do the work and raise your vibration, their vibration is also going to rise. Because remember, this is one energetic soul frequency, so you share the same soul. So they are you, right? So the point here is that as you do the work, they also will do the work in their own way. It's not going to look the same, because you are the more awakened one, and they will awaken, but in a different way. It may not be the same way that you are awakened, and that's okay too. It's going to look different. You can't expect them to be where you are. You are the leading twin. So you go first and then they follow. So the runner runs because they have no choice. So what I want you to know is that you're doing everything right. So what you want to be careful of is that you're not continuing to push. And in order to not continue to push, you have to draw that energy all back into you. Draw that energy and focus solely on you, on loving yourself and doing all the things that make you happy. And I know how hard this can be, because you may not want to do things that make you happy, but that's what this twin flame awakening is teaching you, is to fill your own cup, is to put yourself first and push yourself to find those things that make you happy. And that's going to take a lot of inner work, a lot of delving really deep into yourself and what makes you happy. Does that mean I have to change my life? Does that mean I have to delve really deep into my career and where I live and my friendships and how things, my relationship with my family? And all this you are going to be pushed into really looking at, because that's what this awakening is all about. It's about you. This awakening isn't about an outcome of getting your twin flame back. That's a bonus. And that's not what the end outcome is. Remember, this is a journey. It's a process. And you want to make this process as beautiful as it can be and as easy as it can be. And it doesn't have to be that hard, although our mind, ego, right, takes over and it becomes difficult. And it's hard on the body, it's hard on your emotional being, because you're trying to really, connect all the dots and make things easier. And sometimes our mind gets caught in the way and you feel like you can't go forward, nothing is working, right? And this is where twin flames get stuck. And I'm here to tell you that it does get easier. It does get easier. I know what it's like to be in that pain. And it does get easier once you begin focusing on you. Don't worry about why they ran. I'm here to tell you that they ran because they're overwhelmed. They don't know how to handle the energy that you're pushing. And it doesn't have to be on the physical sense that you're pushing. It's on the energetic sense that you're pushing. The thoughts of them, rerunning that story over and over again is pushing them away. you thinking about how the future is going to be with them is pushing them away. And that is where the divine feminine has to get out of that energy and bringing you back into your heart space and opening up your heart and loving yourself. That is the connection within yourself, is where you want to be. And I know how hard it is in the beginning. It's very, very hard. Very hard. But you can do this. You can bring it all back into yourself and loving yourself. And I invite you to meditate. And there's tons of meditations out there. And you can start off with guided meditations. And in fact, I'm going to do some medications in order to share with those out there that might enjoy them. But because if you've never meditated before, that can be difficult, because if you're not used to it, your mind is going to wander off, right? And it does take some discipline. So it's always good to start off with some guided meditations. I know that's worked for me in the beginning, and that's okay too. So be easy on yourself. You can't go backwards in this journey, even though it seems like you are. And let your emotions flow. If you have to cry, let it out. It's okay. That's all part of the journey. And what you're doing is nothing wrong with your emotions. And don't feel that they're running because you've said something wrong or you've done something to make them run. What's important is that you're bringing it all back to yourself. And running is part of the journey. So I know it's hard because in the beginning phase, in that bubble love phase that you were in, you don't understand why they ran. And you may think that you're never going to have that with anyone else. And it's not all about that. It's about bringing that energy back. So bring it back and focus on you, on loving yourself. And even, I like sometimes to use the terminology of dating yourself. I know that can be awkward, right? But do things for yourself. Take yourself out to lunch. Take yourself out and do something nice for yourself. And that could be anything. Buying yourself something, or spending time with yourself. Whatever that looks like. And that could be different for everyone. So I hope this is helpful in explaining why the divine masculine energy runs. They run because the energy is too much. It's too much on them. And they themselves don't understand what is happening because they've never had anything like this before, right? They've never ever experienced this before. And now they're forced to experience it. And they're dealing with this in the best way that they can. So continue doing what you're doing and focusing on you and only you. And this does get easier in time, I promise. So if you like my content, feel free to subscribe to my channel and check out my Facebook page and my private Twin Flame group that I also just started as well. So I hope you enjoyed. Sending you a whole bunch of love.